Hello, good morning. I'm kind of sleepy, but we have work to do. Let's see. Let's see. That. It's chapter 12. Where's this one? Oh. Read that. Let's see. This chapter is really long. Let's see. Okay. Oh. Back to reforming stuff. Except now. Oh my gosh. I have to make sure that I put in the dialogue separately from the art, because now I'll actually be able to do that, because these are my files, my layered files, and life will be easier. Oh, wait, I'm redoing the typesetting anyway, so it's good to have the... Oh, I forgot that all the text was like in one layer. I'm just gonna call that right. So this first one's done, save. know what? I'm gonna... Okay, the next task after this is to do the typesetting, because the art has to fit around the dialogue, or the dialogue has to fit with the art on each page. So what I'll do is when we do the typesetting, I'm going to reopen these files, and I'm just going to retype everything so that it fits nicely. Because this is my typesetting, but I've changed the bubbles that I use. So, yeah. Okay, alright, so these can go away, and I'll do the sound effects and dialogues again later. Nope, wrong layer, this layer. I think it's going to be a quiet day today. Very, very quiet. I'll be talking into the void. I actually remember coloring these pages. This is my coloring. Pages. We'll need like 16 more pages. Give it a second to do that. It's kind of amazing to get to reformat this and see the art from the very first chapter to what it's grown into now from the original artist. Her work is very good. The improvement was amazing. Now I'm in charge. Well, sort of. Actually, yeah, no, creatively, everything that has to do with the actual drawing of the comic is my purview. Yeah, this is what we want. Oop. Oop. Plus, this is the last chapter that I have to do the layouts for. So we're making astoundingly good progress. I thought this would take a lot longer. But the next step after typesetting is going to be the longest, because then I have to make sure the panels look good on the page, make everything fit, draw in areas that need extra drawing. Oh, I hope I wake up a bit more today. I might go make some coffee. Coffee sounds like a good idea. Oh no! Wrong button. I'm using like two different tools. Back and forth, back and forth. I got distracted. Discord pinged and then... should go make some coffee. Oh, but I don't have any milk. I wonder if I have some random can of evaporated milk again. The groceries will have to be done later today. Oops. Oh. 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 Okay. Bunch of keyboard shortcuts. I'll find a way to make these panels fit in the future. Future me's problem to figure out how to do this. Wrong layer. Hold on. What? Boop. Why is there? Oh, wait. Did I do some weird layering thing? I did. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. Got two separate things. Alright. Don't worry about that. And then oh wait, how many pages is this? 12? 12 pages. These are the pages that I drew myself. This is the first set of pages where it's all me. So, first things first, I'm going to save all these pages. Yes. Save everything. I think it's done saving. Yep. Alright. Add 12 pages. Oh. Okay. Oh, one big task is done. Step 1, phase 1 is done. Hooray! Right. Let me go. Go up. Oh wait, is that the most? Okay. Just gonna close all of y'all. Okay. Great. Okay. Copy. Paste. Haha, it already fits the page. How satisfying. We're just gonna put these here so that when I make a PDF later, I can do the whole chapter in one go. Alright, cool. Let's save those two. Yes, save everything. And now, alright. Let me check something real quick. there's going to be 408 pages that need to have typeset, sound effects, paneling, and a clean layout. That's why it's going to take the rest of the week and some of next week. It's because there's 408 pages. Oh, we'll be alright. We will be very alright. Yeah. Getting these 400 pages formatted and finishing all this work is going to help me with everything for like 2 months. Don't have to worry about bills, or groceries, or savings, or paying for new car tires. Gonna be awesome. Alright, so now that everything is laid out, now I think, since I'm gonna be going into each of these files. Ugh. Now we'll go page by page. Yeah. Actually, Okay. Let's see, let's get the light source. Right. Gonna rasterize. Nope. Lines. Convert the layer, convert to vector. Brush shape, it has to be increase the width. Yeah, perfect. Okay, that looks good. That's nice. Hooray! Then I need a reference. So my work is done. Get patterns. There we go. I love my little pattern brushes. They make life easier. Cool. Actually, no, I like that. I like that overlap. This is fine. Cool. So that's done. Line work is done. Beta fill we don't need, so there's just the pattern. And then edit, Convert brightness to opacity. Now it's just line work. Yep. Next, these two layers are done. Next, background flats. The background of the phone is some sort of peachy color to reddish orange, so the background can be something contrasting. Something yellow. Let's see. Add texture. Nope. No, don't do that. Cute. And we don't need any lighting or shadow in the background. It's just a gradient. So that's done. That's done. Next. Oh no. that. Mask it. Alright. That. 1, 2, 3, 4. But rounded. Alright. Ta-da! Wrong layer. Cool. Oh heck, where's the color palette I need? My gentle giant. There it is. Okay, shading, highlights. Alright, so the figure render base is done. Boop. Okay. Render is done. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. That looks pretty. All of these chapter titles are just objects so far. They're cute. Let's save a JPEG of you. Don't need the style guide, don't need this. One page is done. Hooray! Oh, wait, before I do that, typeset. Cosmetic. Very my gentle giant text. What's the difference between these two? Did I change something between these two? Text type frame, sure. Drag, create text box. New text box. Select text. Oh. This is fine. No. My gentle giant, here we go. Narration box. Set up all of these. That was good. There we go. And then text box is blocking off Aki's face. That can't have that. That's not good. Why is acquaintanceship such a long word? We should not use any long words in comics, like at all. Not because we don't think anyone would understand, but because they're a nightmare to put into speech bubbles. Why would you do this? Actually, I made it fit. Yay! I'm quite pleased that worked. Hooray! Okay, let's do that. Now you guys need to fit into the bubble or the box. You. Everything gets masked. Fit into your box. Okay. And then so many side panels open. Go away. Shoot. Yes, okay. Oop, oop, save. I know there was an easier way to do that. I just didn't want to change tools. The less I have to draw in, the better. Page looks good. Close, close. Please save. Wrong color. Okay. Oh. Not that. Okay. Okay. I'm drawing the sides. It's going to go on top. This sleeve is longer than this one. I can't have that. I'm just gonna good. I am so good at this. It's like I'm a professional. So talented. I can do all of the things. Oh no. Okay. That's the background taken care of. good. Good. That looks nicely patched. First two panels are good. Now it's just these two. Oh, it's lunchtime. I actually have a meeting at 2. So if I go for lunch, I'm gonna probably turn off stream. Today's a quiet day anyway. No chatters. I'm just sitting here doing my work. Slow and steady. Don't know what I'm gonna have for lunch. Hello, VS. Right during an ad break. Oh, but then again, I don't think VS gets ads. Do you get ads? How are you doing? Don't see an ad right now? Oh, okay. Just finished streaming with a friend? Oh, fun! Working on a fan comic together. So wait, both of you were on stream together? Working on the same fan... Wait, how does that work? Explain it to me, VS. We were both streaming. I was working on sketching new pages, and she worked on base colors of pages I finished inking. Oh, that's cool. That's fun. So you were like tag team streaming. You're both working on the same thing. Oh, that's neat. Yeah, for 2 days now, I have been doing the layouts for the reformats of My Gentle Giant. There are 408 pages, now 403 pages for me to do. But I have finished all of the remaining, like, distribution of panels, and now I have to actually, like, make the pages. And so I've been, now that the distribution of all of the panels are done, oh no, don't make a sad face, VS. This is actually fine. Not only is it a nice creative challenge, but I'm getting paid for this. And if I finish all of this in the next 2 weeks, I effectively don't really have to worry too much for the next 2 months. And that is lovely. 3 months if I really continue my austerity measures. So, yes. Yeah, it's fulfilling in a lot of ways. I'm gonna be able to get a lot done. And we're gonna start drawing the new pages of My Gentle Giant as well. So for the time being, this is kind of gonna become my full-time job, and all my other comics are kind of gonna get worked on in between working on this. So yeah, it's worth. Yeah, so I finished 5 pages. I'm planning to print the comic I'm doing with my friend. I'm so excited. I'm also scared it's going to be 160 pages plus. No comic ever stays small. Like, I thought I was gonna spend a year maximum working on Bones Tarot, and I'd have maybe, 100, 200 pages. No, I have over 500, and it took 3 years. And having gone through that experience, because I made Swaha in 1 year. And I thought, oh, I'll just do another Swaha length story. It wasn't a Swaha length story. It was so much more involved. And Partners is like even more involved, and I'm just like, oh, good lord. So right now, having My Gentle Giant to work on is super refreshing, honestly, because I can kind of like do good work, right? And then in my downtime, effectively, like on my own, I can work on my comics. I don't know. It's helpful. Plus, that's what, like, later today, I actually have a meeting to discuss the rest of My Gentle Giant and how much longer we'll keep writing the story, because we want to finish the story off. So yeah. Okay, but imagine holding a book of it. I don't have to imagine. I have copies, like the first 2 volumes of my Bones Tarot. It is fantastic. And there's actually a version of Bones Tarot that I did on my own. The first V1. Holding the book in your hand of a thing that you have spent hours and hours drawing and making and doing the layouts and typesetting and checking and double checking your margins and then triple checking everything and then something going wrong with the PDF and then, yeah. So it's a really good feeling to like make something and then you actually have it in your hands and you're like, this is outside of the computer, it's outside of my brain, this is somehow made manifest, is wild. It's wild and it's nice. That's why I like making things. I'm just like, oh, I have all this stuff that eventually I can get printed. really hope I'll get to experience this feeling soon. I got 12 pages done with inking, now finishing sketching another 10 pages. We finally get to the exciting part of the story too. Oh, that's fun. That's really cool. I'm glad you're making this comic. And you have someone to do it with that's also working on it. That's nice. That's nice, it's really nice, it's wonderful, in fact. I'm glad you're getting to the exciting part of the story. That's always really fun. The way that I try to write my stories is I try to make every single part exciting, because for me, and I've said this before, if I get bored, I won't do it. Even if it's super important, and like I'm like, no, I need to get this done so I can make income, it's at risk of not getting done. And so for my own stories, I think I try to do my best to make sure each and every part is like interesting and fun to make. It doesn't always work, but it's a pretty good sense. Like if you feel yourself getting bored with your own story, that's a pretty good indicator that the reader is gonna get bored too, and we don't want that. So in that regard, I think creators should trust their instincts on that. If I get to a part I don't know how to draw or isn't exciting me, I'll have a hard time to draw it. Yeah. I feel like even if it's hard to draw but you're excited to like do it, then that can also be pretty fun. Because, like, you can always figure out how to draw something. There's plenty of resources. It might be hard to do. It may not look the way that you want it to, especially if you're trying to do something dynamic, for instance. Like, oh my gosh, fight scenes. I was definitely on, like, a learning curve for fight scenes. Despite the fact that, like, I know how to fight, but drawing it and making it look interesting is very different from, like, knowing how to do something technically. It gave me an interesting lesson in, like, the difference between show fighting for film, for instance, versus realistic fighting. Because realistic fighting isn't very, it's not showy, and in fact you don't want it to be, because it's the person that shows off that gets knocked out. And then you also want to make it look cool, but what's cool isn't always realistic, and so it's just like this interesting balance of trying to basically draw your comic in a way that is interesting but also makes sense. And there's like a happy medium, because if you have too much of either, it becomes kind of not as not as good a final product. Fighting scenes is rough. It is, and I force myself to just like do a bunch of fighting scenes in Bones Tarot, to the point that when I got to the end of the comic, I'm like, oh, this actually looks pretty cool. And like, I mean, earlier fight scenes looked okay too. Like, I'm pretty sure if you looked at them, you'd be like, I see no flaws, and I'm like, I see nothing but flaws, and that's just the hazard of being an artist, or creator of any kind. But there's definitely like a learning curve in my comics that you see from the start. Especially if you go back to like my earliest comics on Tapas, which honestly no one should read, no one at all, ever. But if people ever are curious about the evolution of art styles and skill in all things comicking, from text shapes to, you don't need a dot 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 bubble. That's implied. I got distracted. I really don't like ellipses bubbles because I feel like you don't speak silence. You should be able to show that in the panel. It feels like bad visual writing? Yeah, bad visual writing. The visual language of a comic. Oh, there's a lot to fill in on this one. Oh boy, okay. We got this. I got this. I can do this. I'm extremely talented. That's gonna need line work. That's also gonna need line work, but I was already there, so. Alright, there we go. Line work reconstruction complete. Oh, I'm so hungry. They just don't have the same effect visually as a classic manga. What doesn't? Also, hello Minnie. How are you doing? It feels like it's been a while. I have to get back into streaming after being gone for a week. The bubble with 1K lines. Oh, these? The spike bubbles? Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it doesn't work as well with colored. If it was in black and white, and you had like hatch textures and beta fill and all of that, then yeah. But I don't know, I guess the visual language for webtoons have changed. And I'm pretty old school myself when it comes to design decision making in comics. So, I mean, what do I know? I've made a lot of dumb comic decisions in the past because of my own ego, and it did not look good. But I thought it looked good because I'm like, oh, I'm putting so much effort into this thing and it looks so cool. And I look back a year later and I'm like, not only was it not cool, I'm not cool. What on earth was I thinking with my stupid baby brain? The act of creating things over a long period of time and making a career out of it, I feel like, and wanting to grow as a creator involves a lot of getting humbled by my own work. Like, oh, I'm not nearly as cool as I thought I was. Creating a thing. It's still in baby stages, a hybrid of manga and Western color comics. It really, yeah, it does feel like it. Webtoons are definitely in this weird little hybrid moment where it's still evolving. And I feel like at the moment I know where I land on it, in that I prefer creating things for the page because I still want to have it in my hands, but I also acknowledge that the readership is one of convenience because things are expensive, objects are expensive, but reading stuff online is cheaper. And they will go with what is the most convenient option. Heck, I go with the most convenient option, so like I'm one to talk. I can't even be mad about it because I'm just like, no, that makes sense. And so as a creator, having to balance what I think is fun to do versus what's easiest for a reader to engage with can sometimes be in line and sometimes it's at odds, and I don't know. it's the creator's responsibility to be at peace with their chosen thing and their goals. Like, if you don't care about having audience, do whatever you want. If you care even a little bit, you have to actually change how you do things and adapt. I'm mostly excited for when people stop half-assing their BGs and objects with unedited 3D assets. Me too! Me too! Like, it doesn't even take that much extra effort. You've seen me use 3D backgrounds, right? You've seen me use them constantly. And it turns out okay, right? Like, I heavily edit. I make sure that I extrude the lines out of it to turn it into my line work at least a little bit through vector layers. I do shading and lighting. I mean, I don't even actively shade my backgrounds. I just do like drop shadows where I feel like it'll bother me. But I do my best to try to integrate it as much as humanly possible with the final art. And I don't know. Anytime anything is like in a cutesy art style and then there's something blatantly 3D on top of it, I'm just like, well, that's just lazy. Lazy. Lazy and not fun to look at because it takes me out of the story. I like stare at it and I'm just like, why? Why does it look so realistic? And then everything else is animated. I'm like, I don't like this. We can easily use them just for tracing if that's what we want. It's just gotta be cohesive with the main line art brush and the shading style if you do. I agree. I agree. And if you want better, like, this is part of the reason why I want to get good at 3D modeling, is I specifically want to learn the 3D modeling and lighting and rendering and textures that makes it look like an anime background, you know? That makes it look like, or I don't know, I have a feeling that I'm able to replicate my brush style or art style or something into a 3D background and environment that I can make myself, but I also know that that shit takes time to make, and there's only so much time I have to like make my comics and put them out and in a manner that helps me earn money, especially with like partners, you know. And so it's like, it's one of those like dream things where I'm like, I would like to have the time to sit down and learn how to do this. And I have a feeling I'm only really going to be able to do it with like newer projects where I've planned it out. And so I don't know. Also, all day so far, I've been having the feeling that like there's something I've got to do. And maybe it's because I have a meeting in an hour. I have a call. So I actually have to leave in like 30 minutes. But I have a meeting about My Gentle Giant to finish the writing and stuff of it. Where was I going with all this? Nah. Cohesive for vector stuff. Yeah. And I mean, given that Clip Studio has vector layers, that's how I can change the line work for my backgrounds into the brush that I use. It takes a few extra steps to set up, but once you've got it set up, it looks amazing. And it's primarily the first thing I do with backgrounds. I don't know. It also, like, it helps that it bothers me if it looks too 3D. Like, if it's not cohesive with the rest of the art, I'm just like, no, this is gonna, like, irk the shit out of me. And therefore it must change. So, that helps. If I did not care as much, it would be one thing. And if I didn't have enough time, That'd be another thing. What I think happens to a lot of these webtoons is they're pushed on schedules that are so ridiculous and awful, and they want everybody to go so fast and to produce so much, and if you combine that with not being as disciplined in your methods, in your art processes, if you aren't as disciplined in that, or if you just don't have as much experience, you end up being like pushing out stuff and being like, this has to be good enough because I literally cannot muster more. Like, I would, if I had the time, I would have made this better and prettier, but there was no time, and I think that's very sad, honestly. Like, having the time to create good art is so important, and in today's world, that is the one thing none of us have. None of us have time to make good art. Everything has to be fast, because everything's consumed fast, and people just gobble things up. And then they expect more immediately. And I don't know, that impatience is gonna like kill us all as artists. And it's something that I've dealt with a lot, being very impatient to put out art, to succeed, to get things done and do it fast. To the point where it has deleterious effects on your health and well-being. So, bleh. Ongoing process. Learning how to take care of myself. Like, I'm very hungry and I should eat something before my meeting. Does this look okay? Is this fine? Okay. I refuse to stress about it. Also, couldn't even if I wanted to. Or also, I missed mentioning your earlier post. What was it? Where is it? Shit's been overhauling my life. I'm sorry, Minnie. If things have been busy and stressful. Let's see. I'm only missing 2 sequences before I get to edit, delete, and move on to beats and script. Oh, that's exciting for your comic. don't even think I'll do beats at all before the script. That's perfectly fine. If you have like a really clear idea of how you're going in to it, then go straight for the script. Why not? Why not, in fact? Why shouldn't you go straight to scripting if you feel like you've got a clear idea of what you want to write and draw and depict? It feels redundant in a sense. That's fair enough, yeah. It could be redundant, depending on the way that you're writing everything else. If the step of the process is not adding to your story or helping you discover something new, then it doesn't need to be done, honestly. Feels like the same thing almost, unless I missed a vital detail about beats. Well, I mean, even like the way I do things now, I don't really write beats either. I kind of do outlining all the way down to the scene level, and my outline for the scene automatically becomes the beats of the scene, the action reaction things that happen in a scene. So I kind of like write a treatment for page by page, because now I'm actually counting my pages out. So that I don't go off the rails and make like a bajillion more panels than I need to. I kind of like ebb and flow. I'm like adding more structure in one area by giving myself a page count to adhere to. But I've also removed like the treatment step, and I'm considering starting to write my scripts again by hand, but I only felt that way when I was away from home, because that was the only thing I could do. I may stick to what I have now. I have like an outline at the scene level, and each little bullet point in the outline, it's like 24 bullet points. It's basically a page, so yeah. I think I have treatments. Yeah, I expand the outline into a treatment that's page by page, and there's like maybe a 2-sentence description of what happens on that page. And then I make the page work when I get to it. That's the current methodology. It's constantly evolving because I constantly get bored. One method doesn't cut it for me. I wish it did. I wish I could use the same methodology over and over, and I never get bored of it, and it works every time. God, I wish I could stick to one thing. But I can't, because I do get bored, and then the method stops working. And then I have to change it. So that I actually want to do it. God, I wish I could stick to just doing one thing. But yeah. Yeah, sometimes beats bake themselves into your outline depending on the way you're doing it. But if your outlines are like very concise and small, then breaking it down into further beats makes sense. It's kind of like sketching and storyboarding. If your sketches are too detailed, then doing line work feels redundant. And that feeling of redundancy should be reduced as much as possible in every step. Like, you shouldn't feel like you're having to repeat yourself. Because it's not as satisfying. We want to have a sense of progress, not only as a reader when reading the story, but when making the story. You wanna feel like you're making progress with each and every step. Kind of like these layouts, you know? I can clearly see the progress I've made on each panel. Oh. It feels very compact and short. I also know the script will be all dialogue and action reaction. Yeah, I see. Yeah. I guess like the only step in between outlining and script, right, is the treatment, which is the over descriptive thing. But if you're already kind of weighing subtext and black text while making your script, or if you already know the full subtext of what you want to happen in a scene, then you can probably get by without a treatment. All depends on what you want to do, honestly. Because in the end, you only get better at making comics by making comics. You figure out what works and what doesn't, like, long after the fact. Like, after you finish the story, and then months later you go back and you reread it, and you're like, oh, this feels foolish, or this was really good, or that doesn't read quite clearly. And then you have to make those changes to future comics, honestly. The outline here is the hardest because it's all about figuring out what happens and what type of events I want in and out. Yep, that's where all of that work happens. And that's why I think outlining is a lot of fun, because you get to make all these really big creative decisions long before you write any scripts or draw a single panel, and you basically save time. You save a lot of time by doing all of the hard thinking early on, but once you have like the logic stability of your story, the logical like through line, everything else starts serving the conclusion that you come to at the end of your outline, in a way. And then after that, it just becomes an iterative process where you start going in small loops across the story, and you slowly grow each section. Yeah. So I'm not writing much, but it's a puzzle. It is a puzzle. No, it will save time in the end, Minnie. You're currently at like phase 1 of pre-production. Welcome to pre-production for a comic. Been on this since 2017. Well, everyone's pace is different, and everyone's lives and situations are different. If I went by when I first came up with the story idea, I've been doing Running Fish since 2019. 2018? It's 2024 now, right? And Running Fish died like 5 times before it got to where it was. Bone Stare doesn't count. Bone Stare took 3 years, and I did it start to finish. That was kind of like a fever dream of a story setup. Though, in that one, while making Bone Stare, I ripped out the second half, and I rewrote it while I was publishing it. So, that one was kind of like a bum rush of adrenaline. That was Bones Tarot. Those 3 years were like a fever dream. Because it was 2020 to 2023. What was it? It's 2024. No, it was probably 2019. Started publishing it in 2020. Finished in 22. Or mid-23. I don't know. I don't know time anymore. Anyway. Although proper outlining didn't start until late last year. World concept character design goes all the way back there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we're going back to world concept and character designs, everything in Peacemaker reaches all the way back to when I was 11 years old. So that's 19 years. For 19 years, effectively, I've been developing this fantasy world that eventually became Peacemaker. It didn't become codified as Peacemaker until Bones Tarot in 2020. So it incubated itself for, I don't know, what year was it when I was 11? 2004? 16 years. It took 16 years for my brain to finally codify my world building into what I wanted it to be, and a lot of the things that are aesthetically pleasing to me in Bones Tarot match exactly to the doodles that I was making in middle school. So, middle school me would be very proud. Yeah, some of these ideas they incubate from childhood. And so, like, yeah, you may not actively be working on a thing, but it's always kind of developing. And the things that you like the most stick with you. So, I don't know, I never worry about losing important ideas, because, like, the important stories always kind of stay stuck to me, and then my brain refuses to forget them, and I'm like, well, alright, if you want to manifest so badly, I guess we're gonna have to draw you. Or make you, or something. I don't know. I'm sure if I go through, like, old sketchbooks, I'll, like, get slapped in the face with a bunch of old ideas I had back when I was, 12, 13, 15. I have kept sketchbooks since 2005. I have a stack that's this big of spiral-bound sketchbooks that go from 2005 to about 2016. Because by 2016, 2017, I stopped keeping sketchbooks to draw in, because I was almost 100% digital art by then. But yeah. So many old sketchbooks. And I would fill them brim to brim, both sides of the paper, to the point where, like, the pencil has been rubbing on, like, different, like, rubbing against each side, and so I'm like, oh, ha, everything's gonna become a gray blob. But it was very important to fill up those sketchbooks to get good at drawing stuff. Oh, I'm tired. I'm tired and I'm hungry, and I have a meeting in 40 minutes that I need to be prepared for. Which I am kind of prepared for, because in doing these reformats over the last day and a half, I have become intimately acquainted with the storyline. So I'm good to go with story ideas. Yeah. Head pats from Minnie. Hooray! Okay. So I think I'm gonna end the stream here. Got stuff to do. Need to eat food. I'm thinking we might raid a channel that I like supporting. It's the Ferret channel. Ferret software. Because just by watching the channel and watching any ads on there, it helps support the ferret rescue. And I think that's nice. So we're gonna raid channel. What is it? Ferret. So I can't spell ferret. Software. And the best part about the Ferret software, the Ferret Rescue, is that later this year they're building a brand new facility that can house up to 100 rescued ferrets. Currently got like 30, 35 or something of them now. And so, yeah. I think it's a good channel to raid. Watch an ad. Support them that way. And I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. As always, thank you for giving me company. I will be back to streaming tomorrow, and we'll probably stream a nice long time tomorrow, because I'm just going to be doing this for the next week and a half. It's just layouts and formats for My Gentle Giant. So everyone take care. Join the raid. And have a good rest of your day. Alright? Take care. Bye-bye.